But it is clear to all concerned that when it comes to nuclear weapons, we have reached a decisive point. This is not simply about America's interests. It's about preventing a nuclear arms race in the Middle East that could lead this region and the world down a hugely dangerous path. Now, I understand those who protest that some countries have weapons that others do not. No single nation should pick and choose which nation holds nuclear weapons. And that's why I strongly reaffirmed America's commitment to seek a world in which no nations hold nuclear weapons. And any nation, including Iran, should have the right to access peaceful nuclear power if it complies with its responsibilities under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Wait, what was that, Obama?
Under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Yeah, the treaty that Pietro Parolin has been working on for quite some time now. And then here's a statement from the G8 summit.
This week, the leaders of the G8 nations embraced the strategy I outlined in Prague, which includes measures to strengthen the Non-Proliferation Treaty, to encourage nations to meet their arms control, disarmament, and non-proliferation commitments, and to secure nuclear weapons and vulnerable nuclear materials so they don't fall into the hands of terrorists.
See, isn't that nice? Once again, I'm going to go back to the Bible. Okay, see, Revelation 13 informs us that around the time the Roman Catholic Church is wounded in 1798, that an oppressive country would be formed in a relatively unpopulated area, and that it would claim to be based on Christianity, but would truly worship Satan behind the scenes. That can be no other nation than America. The streets in Washington, D.C. are designed so that there's a monstrous upside-down cross from the Capitol building to the White House, and then back to the Lincoln and Jefferson memorials. In the center of this cross is the biggest pagan obelisk in the world, which measures a total of 666 feet. 555 above ground, and 111 underneath. Above the White House is a satanic pentagram, which is inconspicuously built into the streets. And finally, around the Capitol building, there's a satanic deity in the form of an owl, so that when the inaugurations take place, the whole crowd is gathered inside the belly of the beast. Revelation 13:12 says that this nation would cause everyone to worship the papacy, which it has done with Freemasonry and various other secret societies. Freemasonry, which openly admits to serve Lucifer, on page 321 in their satanic Bible, uses basically every symbol that you could possibly associate with the Roman Catholic Church. When you get to the very highest levels of Freemasonry, you are required to sacrifice an infant child, and then you are awarded the highest medal, which is engraved with the letters Sapientia, which stands for the Supreme Pontiff Pope. Here's the inside of the lodge, adorned with symbols and a checkered floor. And here's the Vatican. Notice the checkered floor. So it makes sense that almost every president, actor, industrial tycoon, or musician that has ever been has been high-ranking Freemasons. But see, the interesting thing in the Bible is that after Revelation 13, this country is no longer referred to as a nation, but as a false prophet, and always in conjunction with the Antichrist, or the 8th king of the Vatican. So apparently when the next pope steps out, whoever is leader of this country at that time will be the false prophet. So let's take a look at Barack Hussein Obama. A true prophet comes speaking on the behalf of God and encourages people to repent and to seek Him. So a false prophet would encourage you to stay in your sin and to seek the devil. Well, Obama has been steadfast in his relationship with the Roman Catholic Church. In every magazine cover or poster or article that comes out about him, they always paint a beautiful picture of him being some kind of prophet of God. So let's just take a look at some of the falsities of Barack Hussein Obama. In this picture you will find Barry Soetoro, aka Barack Obama. For identification purposes, I will refer to Barry as Obama. There is no record of any kind indicating Barry ever legally changed his name to Barack Obama. It is widely believed this is the reason Obama had his college records sealed, so they cannot be inspected. It is suspected he is listed on his entrance application as being Muslim. During the 2008 campaign for President of the United States, Senator Obama insisted he had never been Muslim. Well, here's his transcript from his Hawaiian elementary school from when he moved here from Indonesia. It lists his ethnicity as Indonesian and his religion as Islamic. And of course his name is Barry Soetoro. Here is his mother and his real father together. As you can see, he bears much more resemblance to this man than to the alleged father that the government has given us. It is all hypnotism. 8 years ago, the government was yelling, Iraq, Iraq, Iraq. Hussein, Hussein, Hussein. Osama, Osama, Osama. And now it is the spell Barack Hussein Obama that is being cast on the American populace. So let's see. He lied about his name. He lied about his birthplace. He lied about his religion. He lied about his intentions. He lied about his race. He's not even 1% black. All the while claiming to be Christian. And now he is leading everyone to the bloodthirsty anti-Christian Roman Catholic Church. Sounds like a false prophet to me. Revelation 16:13 says, And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, or the Antichrist, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. So it makes sense why you've got crazy, insane Barack Obama supporters jumping around like this. Here's a few words from a man named Alan Keyes, who ran for president in 2000. You probably never heard of him, of course. Here are his thoughts on Obama.
Obama is a radical communist, and I think it's becoming clear. That's what I told people in Illinois, and now everybody realizes it's true. He's going to destroy this country, and we're either going to stop him, or the United States of America is going to cease to exist.
Is there any, do you still hold regrets against not having long enough time to debate against President Obama?
I don't have any regrets. I went into Illinois. People told me at the time I didn't stand much of a chance of winning. The idea was to bear a true witness. The man is an abomination. He is someone who has actually advocated infanticide, that when babies are the target of abortion, if they happen to escape the abortionist's intention and are born alive, he actually supported the idea that those babies should be set aside to die. That is a man with such a seared conscience, I can't even understand why anybody in their right mind would consider him worthy of political support. That's a violation of conscience that is inconceivable. And even some of the most hardline pro-abortion people in America rejected that abomination, and he did not.
So what does tonight mean when President Obama is President of the United States? How
Is
does
he?
tonight play a role?
That's another question. Is he President of the United States? According to the Constitution, in order to be eligible for president, you have to be a natural-born citizen. He has refused to provide proof that he is, in fact, a natural-born citizen. And his Kenyan relations say that he was born in Nairobi at a time when his mother was too young to transmit U.S. citizenship. So I'm not even sure he's President of the United States. No, that's not a laughing matter. Neither are many of our military people now who are going to court to ask the question, do we have to obey a man who is not qualified under the Constitution? We're in the midst of the greatest crisis this nation has ever seen. And if we don't stop laughing about it and deal with it, we're going to find ourselves in the midst of chaos, confusion, and civil war. It's time we started acting like grown-ups.
How could the policy that President Obama makes in the next couple of years affect activities like tonight?
I'm sorry, the person you call President Obama, and I frankly refuse to call him that.
Right.
At the moment, he is somebody who is kind of an alleged usurper, who is alleged to be someone who's occupying that office without constitutional warrant to do so. And he's rushing forward with ideas like destroying our borders, an amnesty bill that will actually have the American taxpayer footing the bill for illegals to come to this country to live, to get housing, and to get everything they want. He is also somebody who has just announced a program that would essentially destroy the validity of existing mortgages and encourage everybody in the country to stop paying their mortgage because the government is going to pay it instead. This is insanity. It's as if we have put insane children and adolescents in charge of our government. And I think we need to ask simple questions. A couple of years ago, we were arguing over every penny in the United States budget, and it was quite clear we didn't have enough money to go around. Well, somebody asked me where we came up with $2 trillion in the course of the last 6 months. Did we wish for it out of the air? Have people gone mad in this country? You don't have that money. We are claiming that a bankrupt government can save a bankrupt banking system. Explain to me how that happens, because I think that's impossible. And the fact that we have just elected an individual who may or may not be qualified, and he presents silly ideas like this and says, let's move forward now. And we're all acting like the laws of economics have been repealed, and we can actually afford to foot the bill with money nobody's got. This is insane. It's got to lead to the collapse of our economy, and it's going to.